is your time to shine.
Coming up this week on A Captain's Log, our season finale is full of high-octane stunt stories with Gilbert Combs. We talk Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, Star Trek The Next Generation, Mission Impossible, and Die Hard stunts. A Captain's Log starts now.
Now the sky's the limit, nobody can stop us to create a story worth retelling to us. Hello, happy, my old friend. I'm glad you've manifested yourself into a human I can depend on to bring me happy.
Welcome back for one final time this season to Trek with us. I'm Brian Kreutz. She's running like a fox to the set to get here. It's Lili Fox-Lim. Yes.
Hello. Yes, I've been preparing on my pad. For you future Trekkies, the pad stands for Personal Access Display Device. And yes, Apple, based in Cupertino, California, did name the iPad after Star Trek's pad. We have a series finale recap. It didn't have to end this way.
Oh, it sounds like a sad story to end the season. I know there's a silver lining. There always has to be, served to us on a silver platter, right?
Oh, silver spoons, perhaps, describes our guest Gil. His father was a superb stuntman, also appearing in Star Trek many times.
Oh, yeah.
Born into stunt wealth, yes. Our guest also had a grandfather, Delmer Combs, who was a pioneer stuntman, wrangler, and trainer who was employed for 40 years with several major motion picture studios.
Oh, it's fantastic. Our guest today, Gil Combs, performed in stunts in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, considered by many fans,
including you.
Yes, and possibly you, to be the best of the Star Trek films. The Wrath of Khan features a strong plot, increased tension, and a sharp supporting performance from Ricardo Montalban, and many of the action sequences and one very memorable moment that included Gil Combs.
Ooh, Gil also did his stuntman mastery on several episodes of Star Trek The Next Generation, starting with the 1990 Season 3 episode named after our favorite Vulcan's father, titled Sarek.
Yes.
We'll get to all of the episodes he performed stunts on in Star Trek and many more films and TV series coming up.
That's right, but first we have some Star Trek news to get to here on A Captain's Log.
The Star Trek news.
Let's do it. So 7 of 9 Star Trek Future gets hopeful, maybe a hopeful update from actress Jeri Ryan 2 years after Picard's ending. Now, Screen Rant reported recently that Jeri Ryan has serious hopes to return as Captain 7 of 9 in Star Trek Picard Season 3's proposed spinoff titled Star Trek Legacy. Now, the ending of Star Trek Picard Season 3 saw 7 promoted to captain on the USS Enterprise G, with Picard's and Dr. Crusher's son, Jack Crusher, seated to her right, and Raffaella, on the other side of the Starship Enterprise G bridge.
With her new crew, Captain 7 was in a perfect setup to continue the legacy of the Starship Enterprise. But over 2 years later, Paramount Plus has not acted on Star Trek fans' demands to make Star Trek Legacy. Picard showrunner Terry Matalas has expressed interest in a show focusing on characters like 7 of 9 and Jack Crusher, potentially set in the 25th century. But the news is there's still no green light from Paramount on this series, but Jeri Ryan is open and very interested in returning.
That's the news right there.
Yeah,
just to know that 7's ready. That's what we want. We all want Star Trek Legacy as a show, Paramount, please. So we can't wait to see Star Trek Starfleet Academy. It's a new series coming out. Manu and Rami revealed to us at the convention that you and I helped panel last year that when he was on Voyager near its end, he was in multiple instances of talks with producers over the Academy series, but really got no official offer.
Right, and look how many years or decades it actually took to make that series.
Yes.
But it finally happened.
It did.
So it's possible. We're back on the view screen with our interview guest, Gil Combs, coming up next.
A Captain's Log returns in a moment.
Welcome back to A Captain's Log. 17 years ago, our guest was the most decorated stuntman of all time. Now, while that record, I'm sure, has been eclipsed by now, at this point, Notably, Gil Combs is a 5-time Stunt Award winner, also having 12 nominations.
Yes, those awards are a Lee Majors Stunt Award, a Screen Actors Guild Award, and 3 Taurus World Stunt Awards. In fact, the only entity that gave stunt awards in the day that Gilbert didn't win an award from was an Emmy nomination that he received.
He did receive an Emmy, so hey, pretty close on that one. Quite a decorated stuntman and coordinator is Gil. Let's welcome Gilbert Combs to A Captain's Log. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, Brian.
As the son of fellow Star Trek stuntman Gary Combs, you appear to be born into the wild and dangerous world of stunts. Growing up in and around Hollywood, watching your dad, did you feel that you always wanted to be a part of this industry?
It's interesting, and my grandfather was a stuntman before him too, Del Combs. By the way, he and you're right. I was on movie sets from the time I was tiny. I've got a picture of my mother holding me, and my grandfather's driving a 6-up coach on wagon train, and I'm wrapped in a blanket. My mother's holding me, and he's driving the coach. But Del started back in the silent era, back in the 20s, and then my dad. He came to be in the 50s, 60s, and so on. And then I came along. You know, it's interesting. I always loved the business. I had a lot of friends. Dad's friends were mine. I was always around. Everybody knew me. But my first love was football. And I went to college in Tennessee on a football scholarship. That was my first love. And quite promptly got hurt real bad. And realized rather quickly that I wasn't going to make it to the pros, which was my goal. And, you know, doing stunts, and not a bad second choice, you know, and I've been very blessed. I've had a really incredible career, and I've made ridiculous money. And, you know, but now at almost 68, I'm paying the price for it. You know, I don't get up in the morning and just jump out like I used to. It takes a while to get warmed up. So it's been really rewarding and really fun to do. I mean, every stunt I ever wanted to do, I got to do it. And through the grace of God, I did it well. I had some talent, thank God. And it carried me all the way through my career. I mean, I remember hustling in the early days. Hustling is when you go out and give your picture to coordinators and stuff like that. And that was a very short time for me. It wasn't very long before, you know, actually the last name Combs had a lot to do with opening some doors. And then, but you know, that cuts both ways. If I couldn't get it done, that I wouldn't have had the career I had. So I got some opportunities substantially sooner than probably most. But I kept that door open by just continually performing well.
Tell us a bit about your college football career. Was it the Tennessee Volunteers in the NCAA?
Actually, that's where I ultimately was trying to go. I got Burt Reynolds was my dad doubled Burt on several things, and Burt was a family friend, and you know, he's big stuff down at Florida State, and he had heard, and of course we'd met and hung around him quite often as a younger man, and he had a lot to do with. He got me a full scholarship to a junior college, literally just down the road from UT. It's called Tennessee Military Institute, and I went there. Tennessee's one of the few states that actually allows scholarships for junior college athletes. Utah's another, and there's a couple others. But I had the full ride there, and in my second season, it was great because I'd go home and work for my dad in the off season, make enough money to have, you know, buy everybody beer all season long, you know. But Burt Reynolds was, there's a guy I miss. He was very, very good to me, very generous man. And just coincidentally, I happened to bunk in the dorm. I shared a dorm with his nephew, Jimmy, his brother. It's his boy. So we became good friends too.
Burt Reynolds, that's a football connection as well. So did you work on that remake of The Longest Yard?
Yeah, I actually worked on the remake. My dad did the original. He was in where he steals the Ferrari in the original one, and I was one of the cops chasing uh, the comedian kid.
Adam Sandler.
That and he was in. I think he was in a Rolls or a Bentley or something. We were chasing him all over Long Beach at night. I didn't realize that my dad had done the car chasing in the original one until we actually went to see the what do you call it? The screening for it at Paramount. And he was going down with me, and we just started talking. He said, "Yeah, I chased him, and when he went off into the water, and the whole." I didn't even know that. So anyway, I thought it was kind of cool getting to do the sequel or the remake.
What was your first on-screen stunt, and was this around the time that you felt you had an edge for this career in stunts, and especially stunts having a family with a background already in the field?
My first day on camera was on, if memory serves correctly, I think was on a thing called Eight Is Enough TV series. And we were doing like a bar fight or a fight in a restaurant or something like that. Fights were one of the things, well, not the martial arts stuff, but the regular bar fights and things like that was one of the things I did pretty well. So it makes sense that it would be where I got my first job. And I mean, hell, there was probably a dozen of us in there breaking furniture and throwing each other over, whatever. And but that was the first day, I believe, I was on camera as a stuntman.
All right, let's circle back to 1982's Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. It's kind of a savior of sorts for the Star Trek franchise, having come off a very big budget first film. The Nicholas Meyer award-winning production Star Trek II had many cool stunts, particularly in engineering when the USS Reliant fires over onto the Enterprise. We see a huge explosion and like a deathly scream. And are you a part of this? Talk about your stunts as the Enterprise engineer under the late, great James Doohan Scotty.
I was one of the young cadets down in there in our white suits and then the kind of cool collars that they had. Because I think this was supposed to be, if I remember the story correctly, it was some kind of a training voyage or something, And so anyway, we're all about my age at that point. I'm pretty young, and yeah, we're all gelled up because fire was everywhere, a bunch of explosions, and we're running and ducking, and they did all kinds of different cuts. But the one thing I lucked out for some reason. The director he chose me to be the last one out. The safety doors are coming down to seal off engineering because it's all blowing up, and I'm the last one that crawls out underneath the door. And I don't remember, it was another stuntman grabbed me and pulled me the rest of the way and got me up, and I limp away. I did a really good job limping. Yeah, that's you can't miss me there. You just that it was nice that I got that opportunity to be on camera.
Share your memories working with stunt coordinator Bill Couch. Like you, he also had a son doing stunts. And did you work with director Nicholas Meyer and actor James Doohan during your time on Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan back in 1982? And what were your memories working with James Doohan and William Shatner?
I think he was the first unit guy. I know Bill. I worked with him on many things. But I believe Glenn Wilder was the coordinator, basically doing the second unit, which is what we were doing there down the engineering set. But I've known Bill a long time. I didn't actually have the pleasure of doing anything on that particular show with him because I was working under Glenn Wilder. Glenn was down there with us in the engineering. Just all I really remember about him. I really didn't have any exchanges with him, but he seemed like a very nice man, very approachable. Good old Scotty. I mean, I started watching this show when it first came out in '66. I mean, I'm 8 years old. My dad is doubling. He was doubling Shatner he did double Shatner the whole first season. My father. So I mean, I was a Trekkie first episode, man. I mean, I was hooked. And then to grow up and get to work on it, and then the extension of it, the TV, and Yeah, what a blessing, really.
Your work on Star Trek The Next Generation is very evident and clearly seen on screen to elevate the action level and sequences scripted by writers and then coordinated by Dennis Madalone. Let's first talk about the first episode that you're in. It's season 3 Next Generation episode that we talked about. Lili actually alluded to it in the beginning, titled Sarek. Assuming this is your first stunt job back within the Star Trek franchise, tell us how you did with this gig and talk about the brawl in 10 Forward with Mr. O'Brien when he walks in.
Most of them, I usually was there for some kind of dialogue, or they made me they would give me the Spock ears, made me a Klingon or whatever it was. But it usually involved some kind of a fight as far as Dennis was concerned, because he, like I said, he knew I was not bad with dialogue, and I was a good fight man, and so I was either there, which I wish I could remember specifically what happened on each episode, but it's really been so long. And you got to remember that, especially on TV shows, you're only there for a day. I mean, you just show up, you do your thing, and you're gone. You're on to another show. That's unfortunately, you don't get to spend on a feature. It's a little different. You get to spend time and weeks and sometimes months. But TV, boom, boom, they want to get you out of there. You know, get no overtime, and here's your stunt adjustment, and bye. And Dennis was a great fight choreographer. He come up with some great routines, and you know, fortunately in those days, you know, before I got old, I could remember them.
Oh, wait. Yeah. You know what? I think you did appear in Star Trek The Next Generation before this in a blue medical uniform in sickbay.
Yeah, I was dressed in a white thing, a medical officer. I remember one of those, and that blue outfit you were talking about, vaguely I remember it. Yeah, so boy, you know, it's hundreds and hundreds of days on really literally hundreds and hundreds of shows in a nearly 35-year career. I really it all kind of blends together.
Now, Gil, you're a Romulan officer in the season 4 Next Generation episode titled Future Imperfect. Talk about your stunt and memories from that episode.
We're there to do some kind of a fight altercation or something, and Riker, who's the first officer, correct? I think me and another stunt guy, we grabbed him by each arm and then escorted him out of the room, and then, you know, threw him into another room, and, you know, just kind of that physical stuff that you do to rough a guy up without hurting an actor.
You're an alien Malcorian med tech in the makeup for the 4th season episode of The Next Generation titled First Contact. It's not the movie, it's the episode of Next Generation. Talk about working with Jonathan Frakes, who is visiting this alien hospital, and what you remember about working with Commander Riker himself again.
Something happens in there. There was some kind of fight that took place, but if you know, it's funny when I watch a show, even to this day, when I recognize one of my friends, a stuntman on the TV, I go, okay, something's about to happen. You don't know what it is, but okay, somebody's gonna do something here, because there's a stunt guy.
Okay, so you had heavy makeup in this episode. Talk about this and perhaps other makeup experiences in feature films like Terminator 2. Because I understand you're working day and night, literally.
They really have it down to a science. These makeup people are just amazing, and usually half an hour, 45 minutes, you know, to get it done, and you know, it's not too bad. You know, you're sitting there, and the hardest part is just sitting there that long, you know, doing nothing. But I've actually had way longer experiences. I wouldn't call it worse. It's just it actually did become a real thing on Terminator 2. I doubled Arnold and did all the motorcycle stuff on that Fat Boy Harley that he was driving around, and that was over an hour getting ready, because he'd already been shot. You know, remember, he'd come walking out of the police when the police were all shooting at him, and a piece of his face are gone. And that one took over an hour to put on. It can be a little tedious just to sit there that long. A lot of it was at night. The whole sequence there down in Long Beach, and yeah, I was doubling up. I was working on another show in the daytime, doing that one at nighttime. And then when they'd wrap, I'd drive like an hour to the other location. It was in like Santa Monica, and then I'd go to sleep in my crew cab. I had the 80s train to come wake me up when it was call time. And I get like an hour at lunch during the night shoot, and it was like, oh man, I couldn't do that now. But I was making money hand over fist, but I could. There's no way I could do that now.
Who is your favorite Star Trek actor from Star Trek II or Star Trek The Next Generation that you have good memories of? And what was it like to be so involved now multiple times in Star Trek?
I was always working around Riker, and he was a nice man. Big boy too. I mean, he stout built, and very, very pleasant to be around. And then on Star Trek II, really the only one I had much contact with was Doohan, who I mean, again, who didn't love Scotty? Beat me up, Scotty. Scotty. And I remember hearing that, since I was 8 years old. I mean, I love Scotty. So it was really great to get to meet him.
Oh, we've heard so many positive stories about Jonathan Frakes as Riker as a person. Your story just adds to this once again. Thank you so much for sharing that.
So Gil, talk about working on the Mission Impossible 2 film directed by John Woo. You worked with stunt coordinator Brian Smrz, who won the Taurus Award on this for Best Second Unit Director. This was a huge action hit for the over-the-top stunts and action sequences. What do you remember?
I just happened to have that day off. So I was hanging around the hotel, and I got a phone call from my answering service, and it was Brian Smrz. And he wanted to know if I could be in Australia and do a cannon roll for him the following week. And so I said, well, I'll get back to you. I'll call you right back. So I went to the coordinator and I asked him if he could replace me. And he said, yeah, no problem. Go. You're not, we weren't doing that kind of big stunts on that show. So, most of us try to take care of each other. So if you get a chance to make some real money and do a big gag, most of the time you'll try to replace a guy. So I got lucky and he did. And, flew back to LA and then flew from there within days to Australia. And it was interesting because I was talking to Brian off and on while I was traveling, and they had local stuntmen down there. Of course, they've got local stuntmen, but no one had ever done a cannon in that country. Okay, so not only did I get to do this cannon, I got to do the first one ever done in Australia. And we did it right down there at Botany Bay, right where the old penal colony used to be. Beautiful area, gorgeous. And Brian was directing, and Billy Burton was coordinating, or they were both doing both. Anyway, Billy Burton was there too, and who's another dear friend of mine. And that's it. Another dynamic. I almost forgot. This is a right-hand drive car. Okay, I mean, I've cannoned at that point dozens and dozens of left-hand drive cars, but it's the first time I ever did one from the right. Everything's backwards. I mean, the shifters with your left hand instead of and the pedals are the same, but anyway, it's just what it is. It's just, because at that point, I've done so many of them that I really don't think about the mechanics of what you got to do to roll a car. And this one I had to think about. This one I had to be very deliberate about because, like I said, everything's backwards. I'm on the wrong side of the car, first of all. Instead of the cannon being on my right and slightly to the back of the car, it was on my left and slightly to the back of the car. And it was really a challenge. And an interesting thing happened. If you look at the film, the car, it went over on its right side as it's supposed to. And as it's turning over the first time, there's a little knoll there. I think it goes off into the grass that I rolled it out into. And I've never seen one do this before. Because you can do 1,000 of these, and everyone's going to be a little different. It goes to its top, and it does a 180, and then continues rolling 3 more times. So now, already in my mind, doing it.
Say, don't try this at home.
Thinking it through, because that's how I do things. I see myself in my mind do it, and then go out and actually physically do it. When I landed, I was supposed to be facing inland from the way I rolled the car. That's what I should see when it stops, is out that way, inland. When I stop rolling and the dust settles, I'm looking at the ocean. I'm looking out at the ocean, and I'm like, I don't know how I screwed this up. I don't know how. I'm not supposed to be facing this direction. This is insane. Luckily, though, because of the direction I was looking, I could see Video Village, where they had all the monitors for all the different cameras that were, so the director could watch it. I see Billy Burton get up and go, I was pumping his arm, going like, I'm like, well, whatever I did, Billy liked it, so I guess I'm all right.
You're the first person to be shot out of a cannon with a car in Australia. Wow.
Awesome.
Rolled a car using a cannon. Yes. It surprised me to learn that on the trip down there, that nothing like that had ever been done there before. But thank God Phil Corey was the effects guy, and Phil and I are, God rest his soul, he's gone now, but he was a very dear friend of myself and my dad.
You worked on the iconic film franchise Die Hard, Die Hard 1, Die Hard 2,
Yep.
right? With stunt coordinator Charles Pacerni and his son Chuck Pacerni. Also, you did the 4th film, Live Free or Die Hard, where you worked again with Brian Smrz. Talk about your memories from the film franchise, and what specific stunts did you perform in this high-octane 1st, 2nd, and 4th Die Hard?
Well, in one, Charlie brought me in for a day, and there's a shot there where the first terrorist, the tall, skinny, blonde one, gets killed, and the brother, obviously doesn't like it, and then that whole dynamic builds throughout the film, where he's trying to hunt down and kill. But there's a shot there where he's going down to cut the phone lines, and he does a thing. All you see is the back of me, and Charlie wanted me to slide down the handrail of this long stairway, and then run out of the shot. So that's all I really did in one. In two, had a lot more. I was there a lot longer. I was on the SWAT team that got ambushed out at the new terminal they were building. I'm the guy with the shotgun. I'm the only guy that's not carrying an automatic weapon. I had the sawed-off shotgun. That's how you know it's me. And we all get shot up, bullet hits. We get destroyed. That sequence, I think, took about a week, and then we got to hang around for a few days and lay around, make a little money being dead bodies for background. And then number 4, again, Brian Smrz, my good buddy, brought me to Australia. I was a semi truck driver. I did a lot of semi work, and he had this whole sequence to do for Bruce, and first time I ever doubled him, but literally I'm quite a bit taller than he is, but it was in a truck, so you can't tell how tall someone is. But it was right up my alley. That's exactly what I did. Some of the best stuff I ever did was driving semis, and ultimately just a really interesting story. And it'd probably be a lot of people that if you weren't there, they would say yes. But you do these things long enough, every once in a while you get really, really lucky. That's why I said earlier, I'd rather be lucky than good all day long. We were doing this sequence where the aircraft is shooting the missiles at the semi truck that Bruce is driving. And completely by accident, well, they had a little air ram or a little explosive cannon under there, that when the pyrotechnics went off, like the missile hitting, it would rock the truck up like that. Okay. Well, I was going about 40 miles an hour. There was a kind of a little curve to the road. The road was flat. It wasn't cambered. It just the curve and all that, the inertia was pushing me to the outside. And at one point there, the effects guy sets it off. Boom. And it takes the whole truck up to a place that I didn't believe was possible. And I did a 9-wheel ski of a semi and a tractor. Now it's in the film. We went back and ran the film afterwards, and I was there nearly 8 seconds. I was in that spot. Okay, now there's a big embankment off to the right that you can't see because they put a blue screen there to make it look like there was other stuff there. But it was a big embankment, probably went down 30 feet, and an angle, but still. And I was actually concerned that it was going to roll over. I didn't change the throttle. I just kept the steering wheel where it was, and I'm sitting there sideways, and I'm thinking, this is the weirdest thing in the world. And it lasted almost 8 seconds. Went back and timed it. I was so worried I was gonna roll this thing that I actually steered back into it to set it back down. Physically steered back into it. And so Brian and the director, right after that, we went to lunch. Brian and the director came to me. I'm sitting there eating my whatever, and he says, Gil, you think you can do that again? Said, no. I mean, just that emphatically. I said, no. Are you kidding? At that point, I'd been in the business 25 years. I said, Brian, that's the luckiest thing ever happened to me in 25 years. And the director's like, oh, come on, come on, you come on, we got to do it again. I said, sir, I'll try anything you want me to. And I'll do my best to match the speed and everything. I'm telling you, we're going to roll this thing. I mean, it's your truck, and we had a couple that, we had backup trucks. I said, we're going to roll. I'm telling you, if we don't roll this thing, it'd be the second biggest miracle I've ever seen in 25 years of doing this stuff. Well, anyway, we went back and forth, and finally I agreed. I said, okay, I'll just get in there. And so after lunch, we went and set it up again, and I tried to match everything, be in the same gear, going the same whatever, and sure as hell, over on its side it went, and down the embankment. Okay, starts going down the embankment. I went to passenger side, so I'm up, obviously. And by the way, we didn't have a fuel cell. What wasn't set up to roll. So I knew I was taking a chance, and I got covered in diesel fuel because it comes splashing out of the tank. Anyway, I'm hanging there. Literally, the trailer is up here, and this tractor's hanging down here. Now, luckily, the whole thing didn't go down. The actual trailer stayed up on the road, and I'm hanging there. Now I got to crawl out. I got to undo I had a 5-point on. I put a 5-point harness on. But I had to undo that, crawl out, crawl uphill, get myself out. And as soon as I got out, I saw Brian. I said, I told you it was going to roll. He's like, don't worry about it. He goes, don't worry about it. It's not your fault. I said, no, I know. I just had to say, I told you so.
They used the first shot, right? You have the instincts as a veteran stunt guy, and you know things.
Well, of course. They never used a second one. I mean, it was because it wasn't supposed to roll. They had half the sequence to do after that. So but all it was fun. It was such a fun show to work on. Brian's such an easy guy to work for. He's so low key. But sometimes sometimes I get things right. What's that old saying? Even a blind hog finds an acorn once in a while.
A captain's log returns in a moment.
Welcome back to A Captain's Log, your source for Star Trek stories and the moments that lead up to a career in Hollywood. Like Stunts with Gil Combs, our guest today. Not only was Gil Combs in the most popular Star Trek film of all time, Star Trek II, he did all the driving for Bruce Willis in the semi-truck sequence for the sequel number 4 on Die Hard titled Live Free or Die Hard, plus Terminator 2 Judgment Day with motorcycle stunts galore in that blockbuster Hollywood mega hit film. Oh, BK, I believe you have the next question for Gil.
I do, yes. This is going to be exciting. All right. So, Brian Smrz won the Taurus Award for Best Stunt Coordinator in this film. Gil, you have worked with him multiple times. Let's circle back to Terminator 2 Judgment Day. You mentioned that you worked a lot of stunts with semis. Did you do semi-truck stunts on this famous scene in the LA River Viaduct?
That was Tommy Huff. Tommy Huff drove that, and I was actually on the Fat Boy. I was on the motorcycle when he was chasing us. Yeah, at least a week, maybe 10 days of work to do all that. I would say at least a week. And we're down there in the LA River, and I mean that water runs down through there 24/7, 365 days a year. So there's this thick layer in certain areas. Excuse me. Of moss. It's slicker than owl shit. I mean, it just you get it. I was amazed. I mean, everybody. Doc Charbonneau was doing the kid on the little bike, and he went down a couple of times. And he's a much better rider than I am. I just somehow got lucky, and I never did dump that thing. Never. But boy, it was close a few times. Wow. Yeah, that was the hardest part about that, is that mossy stuff. You're trying to go fast. You're trying to change directions, and I just got lucky. I really did.
Great motorcycle stunts with you. That's so awesome. Wearing those iconic sunglasses and the leather jacket like Terminator. Okay, talk about the awards behind you. Which movies are they? Bad Boys? Is that Bad Boys with Martin Lawrence and Will Smith?
One is for Taxi. One is for Bourne Ultimatum, the car chase we did there, and Bad Boys 2.
Nice, Will Smith.
The car chase, and I did a canon on that show on the Causeway there, just outside of Miami. So we won a Stunt Award for that one too. So that's what the 3 World Stunt Taurus Awards are for.
That's all the time we have this episode. Let's recap the season.
Yes.
We had our first in-studio guests, iconic Tom Morga, Suzanne Rampey, and Chris Doyle, who were all full of stories and real stunts demonstrated on set.
Oh my God, that was fantastic. We really did knock that Stunt Superlatives episode out on Cestus 3 out of the ballpark. So, season 5 with 2 legends in Trek also had the beginning with Nana Visitor, most definitely our most prominent cast member, and interview that we've ever done here on A Captain's Log. Deep Space Nine stories, count them 9 of them from Nana in that part of her life, a huge part where she played Major Kira, being on set, changing from mom to actress, then followed up by Captain Pike himself, Sean Kinney, who shared stories galore with Makeup, Nimoy, Lucille Ball, Desi Jr., and Roddenberry.
Oh, we had our second 3-part interview with the talented Julie Caitlin Brown, who played one of the greatest villain sidekicks with an Aerosmith story from Next Generation to a respected guest role in Deep Space Nine as Tai Kahata, and then John Putsch, Mr. Bluehead ×2, and Star Trek Generations journalist. There's still journalism in space. So many good things to remember about this season.
Yeah, it really is. We met the smartest Star Trek person ever, that in writer and author David Mack. And Picard's La Sirena computer voice, K-Bess, among Lou Wagner and 2 Fine Ferengi. What a season we had here on A Captain's Log. Rewatch it again and again while we warp back for season 6 next year.
Bye for nearly an eternity until next season.
Whoa, what? Bye for now.
Manifested yourself into a human I can depend on to bring me happy.